Official SpaceX rocket factory tour with Elon Musk. It should come as no surprise that Elon Musk remains committed to his company's goals of creating a human presence on Mars by using its Starship rockets from the Earth. But before doing that, it has some milestones to undertake so that it could carry passengers and take giant leaps. And I can almost hear you thinking about, what are these milestones? Well, to be frank, there are many, but keeping them in mind, now Musk has taken a vision of an insane new rocket factory that will build more Raptor engines. And if you are excited to know more about this factory, join us as we take a peek inside Texas Rocket Factory. But before we do that, hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting video from Elon Musk Exclusive. In this video, I'm going to take you through more updates from Elon Musk's official SpaceX rocket factory. Stay safe and enjoy this video, and don't forget to like it. So let's get started without wasting any time. As you guys know, SpaceX has many launch sites, and the SpaceX South Texas launch site, referred to by SpaceX as Starbase, or also known as the Berkeley launch site, is a private rocket production facility test site and spaceport constructed by SpaceX located at Boca Chica, approximately 20 miles east of Brownsville, Texas, on the US Gulf Coast. Furthermore, SpaceX already has a significant presence in Texas, including the McGregor facility, where it tests rocket engines and components for research and development. Photos taken a few years ago of the construction site illustrate how quickly it has grown. And you must be thinking that the factory that builds Elon Musk's next-generation spacecraft is a stunning marvel of ultra-modern industrial sophistication. Well, it is astonishing that the fact is it's a floating makeshift tent town with an on-site trailer park and no running water. This side of the business is ticking well by all accounts, but Elon Musk has bigger fish to fry. "We are trying to build a huge fleet to make Mars habitable," said Elon Musk on multiple occasions. And to achieve this historic achievement, they will need a lot of hard work, and that will require a major leap forward in the spacecraft development. So to colonize Mars, one Starship would not be enough. As Musk also said, "We need probably on the order of 1,000 ships, and each of those ships would have more payload than the Saturn V and be reusable." This SpaceX CEO has set himself a long-term goal of running 3 Starships in a day carrying a payload of 100 tons and even passengers too. But for now, Musk's short-term aim is to build 1 or 2 Starships per week and add to the construction cost at just $5 million per ship. Goals such as building the Starship sounds simple, but the production is at least 1,000% harder, as a single thing in the Starship is too big, and making it takes quite a bit of large area, as large as a whole highway. So the facility is located just a short hop along the highway, 4 miles in South Texas. This is also helped by the buildings near it, which aren't buildings. Yes, you heard it right. Some of Elon Musk's biggest headaches growing his companies disappeared when he realized how cheap and fast it could be to ramp up capacity by putting giant tents for screens. In production tents, they have the advantage of being straightforward and inexpensive. And if you want to build a large structure fast, tents are pretty much the way to go. But what works for cars doesn't necessarily work for space rockets. The 2 most important and largest tents at the Boca Chica construction site are called Segment Manufacturing Tent No. 1 and No. 2. This is the tent where the stainless steel rings that make up most of the visible fuselage is assembled, as well as the inner bulkhead dome. These tents themselves are quite tall, but they are not high enough from the ground to the ceiling. So the SpaceX workers came up with an idea about lofting their tent over a layer of shipping containers. Yes, again, it is true, as crazy as it may sound. It makes sense. These containers are heavy, which means they come in handy in windy spaces like Boca Chica, and they can also be used as storage or offices too. And apparently another tall construction tent shaped like an onion is used to assemble the rocket nose cone and sits on 2 shipping containers before reaching other tall tents. Starship sections must typically pass through a hydraulic press workshop tent on the site. Additionally, inside technicians cover the ship in stainless steel 301 or 304 plates to craft those all-important fuel tank domes. Also, think of heavy-duty hardware like launch scaffolding and rockets sitting for the bulk of the launch before they eventually explode. There are 3 vertical tall structures called the Low Bay, or affectionately called Iron Hinds by Boca Chica watchers. The Mid Bay was once used to be the tallest bay and could hold 2 prototypes at a time for stacking before being moved to High Bay. So the current High Bay is 80 meters long and dominates the horizon. and is where all the finished prototypes exit from the present, and the target is soon to reach the production level of 4 barrels a day. Remember, each barrel brings us one step closer to Mars. And Musk believes that a skilled workforce and well-established workflows with plenty of opportunities for feedback and innovation are the secrets to iterating rapidly and scaling a production. In addition to Musk's experience at Tesla, it taught him quality staffing practices for factories. Leaders here employees maintain a 3-day, 4-day rotation system, often in dedicated RV parks in the shade of the highway, as the vast majority of SpaceX employees who live in the RGV work in the city of Starbase itself. And these workers spend their days at either the building site, the launch site, or split between both of those locations. So after listening to all of these, one thing comes to my mind, and that is, are there any problems faced by them? Well, Musk has to face many problems regarding his site in Texas, and what Elon Musk has to build on the remote mudflats at the southern tip of Texas is astonishing. But can SpaceX coexist with the original feathered inhabitants of the lower Gulf Coast? The environmentalists from Brownsville, Washington, D.C. are protesting his ambitious vision to build, test, and launch next-generation rockets in this fragile ecosystem. Also, Stephanie Bilodeau, a conservation bird biologist, said that it is 24/7. The lights are bright out here, and at night it's just constant sound and presence of people, as she comes out with a spotting scope 4 times a week to look for plovers and redknots. And she says that, since SpaceX has moved in, these migratory shorebirds that crossed the continent nest have disappeared. These vast mudflats may not look like much, but they are insanely important for the shorebirds. And the best habitat they have got is right here along Highway 4. And the more expansion there is, the less likely they're going to be able to nest in these areas. So Elon has said that they are soon to address these issues. Moreover, Elon Musk broke ground here in 2014, and the fact that he was sandwiched between the lower Rio Grande National Wildlife Refuge and a small colony of sunburned retirees didn't cause alarm, but now it does, as these experimental rockets mean things blow up, and that's what happened during a test flight on March 30th. These rockets and ships are more massive and create that much more thrust than the rockets that were originally proposed to be launched there, says David Newstead, Director of the Coastal Bird Program for the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries Program. Aerospace facilities can coexist with fragile environments. For example, say the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, which is inside the boundaries of Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge and Canaveral National Seashore. So to combat this problem, this $150 million SpaceX rocket factory is now headed to McGregor and is planning an expansion of its test facility into a powerhouse, churning out enough rockets to make humanity interplanetary. Vaco and McLennan County also plan to chip in $6 million for the effort. Once the Starships have been built, they can fly themselves to their floating launch platforms, which will also benefit Elon in knowing what changes he needs to make. And SpaceX is now building their floating launch platforms, as there are 2 oil drilling rigs which they have bought, each one named after Martin moons. It is here, on the floating platforms, where the Starships will launch and deliver satellites into orbit, and deliver cargo to the space station, then finally to its grand venture to Mars. Let's hope for the best to come true, as soon as possible. Now that we have reached the end of this video, let me thank you for sticking with me, and I'd like to know, what do you think of today's video? Do you hate it or love it? Just comment down. Also, if you like this video, please make sure you like it and stay safe. Today's video is over, but if you want to see more, there is one on your screen right now. And there are some more great videos about everyday technology coming soon. See ya in the next one. Until then, peace.